Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adrienne Montgomery with ERP VAR. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by APS Payments and Starship. We're going to be talking about the Magento integration for both shipping and payments with Acumatica. We'll get started here in just a minute. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you note on your webinar pane, right next to your name, there is a question mark button. If you should have any questions throughout the presentation, we just ask that you go ahead and click on that question mark button, and a dialog box will open up where you can go ahead and key in your question. And we'll be reserving the announcing of those questions until the end of the webinar. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about how to streamline your Acumatica e-commerce shipping and payments. And as I said, we're joined by Starship and APS, and we're talking about the Magento integration with Acumatica. And thank you, Patty, with APS Payments for joining us today, Senior Vice President, and Matt St. John's with Starship. He's the sales executive over there. And today we're talking about Acumatica as the umbrella ERP. They are an all-encompassing ERP, including financials, distribution, manufacturing, project accounting, and CRM. And the integration with Magento today, we'll be focusing on that. APS Payments is also here. We're going to be talking about their integrated payment solutions, and they're a full-service merchant services provider. They have a very strong integration with Acumatica, which helps merchants get the best rate because of all the data in Acumatica used to qualify for level 3 credit card processing. And they also have a great click-to-pay feature that integrates with Acumatica as well. And then Starship is a UPS Ready partner, Platinum FedEx compatible solution provider. They introduced their Acumatica interface in 2016. They're a market leader for integrated shipping with Sage and Microsoft Dynamics. So very mature solution. And today we're going to be talking about how an order comes in to Acumatica through the Magento e-commerce platform, and how Starship integrates with that, so that you don't have to log in between the e-commerce system and the Acumatica and the shipping interface. It's an all-in-one integration, so you don't have to toggle back and forth. And your entire office has quick access to shipment history, metrics, and reporting. And we're going to be talking about how APS Payments has their Magento e-commerce integration, and it's available at no additional cost. It's tokenized credit card data, simplifies PCI compliance, and they have multi-store, multi-currency capabilities, level 3 credit card processing. So that really helps you save on the B2B transactions, and Patty's going to go more into that detail. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to Matt to start it off with the shipping integration with Magento. Thank you, Matt.
And on my screen is the Acumatica, and I'm actually in the shipment records. So yeah, my name is Matt St. John, one of the sales executives here at V Technologies for Starship, and I really appreciate everyone taking their time to join our webinar today. Yeah, so with Starship, and we're going to go through this, I can show you, of course, the order generation inside of Acumatica, processing that through Starship's new web UI interface, and I have some screenshots I can show you of what the write back's supposed to look like. But if anyone after would like to actually see a full-blown demo with the write back, please feel free to reach out to contact me. We can schedule a one-on-one. On my screen is Acumatica. With Starship, we have two choices. We can, of course, pull by a sales order number, or we can pull by a shipment record. Now, with Starship, if we do pull by a sales order, Starship will automatically create this shipment record inside of Acumatica. For the sake of the demo, I'll just pull by a shipment record. So I'm just going to move over here to Starship. And again, this is Starship's new web UI. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with Starship, currently using it. They're used to kind of the client version that we have. Again, this is the new web UI. So new look, feel, really functionality is all the same. It's just kind of everything's laid out in a more organized fashion, a little bit easier to use, we're finding. So main screen here is all my shipments that I have set up inside Acumatica. With Starship, with this web UI, one nice feature is as a shipper, I can technically just work inside Starship. So I really don't need access to Acumatica. So again, here's all my shipments. We can get into, if you need to, maybe applying filters. So maybe you want to narrow the search result. I can manually type in a shipment number here, or if my pick sheets or whatever I'm shipping against happen to be barcoded, I can even use just a regular wedge type scanner and scan in that order information. From there, I can even come over here and just manually select orders. I can even come over and just click the shipment little truck here, and what that's going to do is bring in all the order header and line item detail from this shipment record that's living inside Acumatica. Okay, and again, now it's even this. There we go. All right. First screen that's going to pop up on my machine here, as you can see, I have an order, and it's asking me, hey, do you want to validate this? So we could set this up. So Starship will do address validation. We actually validate zip +4, and we will also validate the commercial residential flag. So it's going to help save on those address correction fees as well as the commercial residential fee. So I'm just going to keep the original here. So source, here's all our source information from Acumatica. Sender, of course, is the company I'm shipping this out of from inside of Acumatica. Recipient would be the ship to information from, originating from the sales order, of course, in this case, from the shipment record. Our transportation, so with Starship, really data mapping fields from Acumatica. So based off the ship via, Starship's automatically going to select carrier service, billing type. So if anyone's doing third party or collect shipments, we can most certainly help automate that, where this can come in and automatically select, hey, it's third party or collect, and even get into populating the customer's account information automatically for your shipper. Really the name of the game with Starship is to streamline that whole shipping process. So any of those options, again, third-party shipments, or even say insurance, as you can see here. In this case, it's reading from the insurance checkbox that lives inside of Acumatica. We, again, could really help streamline that. So as a shipper, I don't have to manually click on any information. I don't have to manually put in, say, account numbers, or manually change the billing type or carrier service. Okay, Starship's going to take care of all of that for me. Right. Now down here, packaging line item, I'm just going to drill down in them. A couple different ways we can actually get into packaging our items. In this case here, I have this one item coming in. With Starship, we can get into even doing packaging scenarios. So in this case here, let me actually close this, and I'm just going to say, yeah, nope. I just want to bring in another shipment. We'll do an international one, get a little more bang for your buck here. I'll show you how Starship can help automate your international shipment. So again, just brought in another order, all that information automatically populating for me. I'm going to click on the packaging as well as the line items, kind of drill down into these, and we'll show you this version first of how to actually do packaging. So here under the packaging, I have two boxes, as you can see. Now, one thing, as I just mentioned with packaging scenarios, Starship has automatically packaged these running shorts into a large envelope. Now with the packaging scenario, Starship can automatically learn them. You can manually set them up. But as you can see, Starship knows, yep, every time these running shorts are shipped, they go in a large envelope. So I'm automatically going to package it for my shipper. My system, the remaining items, there are no packaging scenarios. So I just have them coming into a custom package. As you can see, that's just my default setup. You could also have the system set up that these come in as loose items, and then from there, as a shipper, I would have to at least put them in one box. Really, the item-to-box detail inside Starship is not required. So if you do have a large order and you don't want your shipper to have to actually put items in each box, because from here I can actually just drag and drop this to do packaging. Again, it's not required. Over here, if I needed a third package, I can simply click the add package, and then Starship would put a new box down here. And again, I could just drag and drop and put items into that new package. Okay. Now, the large envelope, this is just part of Starship's custom database where you can store your packaging, and that can be bags, bales, pallets, so on and so forth. Now, the nice thing with using custom packages is Starship will automatically generate the dimensions. Nowadays, dim weight's a big deal. So as you can see over here, it's automatically put my dimensions. What Starship will do is actually, as you can see, actual weight versus bill weight. So we also take into consideration dimensional weight. Right? So you're not going to get hit with those dimensional correction fees later. You know, if this went out at 1 pound and it's actually supposed to be 2, again, when this gets sent out, it is automatically going to put in the correct dimensional weight, and that is based off the carrier's calculation. So UPS, FedEx, and even nowadays USPS has moved to dimensional weights. With USPS, though, they do offer cubic pricing, so it's something that you should look into. It really doesn't matter about the weight. So, I mean, even if you're shipping bowling balls, as long as it fits in a box that is 12 by 12 by 6 or less, your shipment would qualify for cubic rates. We have clients that are actually finding, some clients saving up to 64% on their shipments by going USPS through the cubic pricing. Our USPS module, we've actually teamed up with a company called Visible, and our USPS module would actually be included with Starship if you use it through and set up an account either through Pitney Bowes or Easy Post. You are going to gain access to discounted rates, and a lot of clients go with Easy Post because the nice thing with Easy Post is that they actually do not charge a monthly fee to have the account set up, nor do they charge a credit card fee if you wanted to refill your meter using a credit card. Okay, and again, out of the box, you're going to gain access to discounted rates. You'll gain access to the cubic pricing, and you may be able to also qualify for additional cubic pricing depending on packages that you ship, the volume. And if you're want to find out more, please feel free again to reach out to me, because what we'll do is just kind of do analysis with Visible and make sure if you can qualify for those even further discounted cubic rates. But again, it's something to look forward to. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you're shipping weight-wise, as long as we're going to fit in something less than 12 by 12 by 6, you will qualify for those cubic rates. Okay. Down below is line item detail, so I can get into back ordering items. So here's quantity on shipments. Of course, anything that I back order inside Starship will automatically back order inside Acumatica, and with the Magento integration, also inside of Magento. So really, we're using today's Magento integration as what we call an extension. So what we're doing is getting that order inside Acumatica. I'm going to ship and process it from Acumatica into Starship. Once I ship and process this order inside Starship, as an extension, what Starship's going to do, and as you're going to see, is, of course, we're going to write the tracking and freight and item quantities back into Acumatica, but it would also upload that information to Magento. Okay. All right. So again, showing you kind of the packaging line item drill down. We also have a packaging assistant wizard here that I can click on. So as you can see, a little bit easier to follow and read. And now maybe this one, again, we'll just unpack this box. So again, I can have my items just come in over here. And on this side is where I can add packaging. Maybe I know these running shorts fit into this large envelope, so I'll just move them over there. And then we'll just drop the coffee mug in its own package. Maybe I know that fits in a medium box, so I'll select that medium box. All right, so again, just a different look and feel on how I can do my item to box detail. And then from here, I do have the option I can ship and process clicking this button. But for the sake of today's call, I'm just going to go back to this main screen so we can talk about rating. Okay, and let me minimize this. We'll minimize that. Okay, so with Starship, it's multi-carrier, multi-mode, so we're going to be able to process our LTL shipments as well as parcel shipments. We have integrations with over 24 carriers, again, being both parcel as well as LTL carriers. And with those integrations, as you can see down in this rating table here, I'm going to be able to gain access to my live negotiated rates that I have with the carriers. I'm also going to be able to gain access to any of the electronic features that the carrier offers. So like for LTL, say electronic pickup, where you no longer have to call them and let them know you have a shipment ready to go. Electronic return of pro numbers, of course, for say UPS, FedEx, USPS, we'll return the tracking number electronically into Starship. And as you'll see, of course, that will write back into Acumatica as well as up to Magento. All right. So here, just the table breaks down all the different carriers, services that I have. I can get in, I can sort by any of these columns here. Maybe I want to just go by, see by apply charges. So I can sort it by least expensive all the way up to most expensive. This whole rating, now I can manually run it. I can also have Starship automatically run the rating process, and then based off what we call ship via rules that you can create and set up, you can tell Starship, for example, hey, you know what, rate shop my shipment and always select the least expensive carrier and service, or maybe least amount of delivery days. So the whole rating process can also be automated. So again, I have my chart, I can see my rates. Up here is just kind of a breakdown. In this case, I have UPS Worldwide Saver. So here's my breakdown for that. I'm just going to click on this under Applied here. And this really, I'm going to go down over here, click on this. So with Starship, you can also set up freight rules. So here is a freight rule. I'm just doing a flat $3 increase on all my shipments. But with freight rules, you know, I don't know if anyone's doing free shipping over X amount of dollars, or maybe certain customers could receive a discount on freight, maybe doing promo codes. But as you can see, freight rules can handle that. They can be flat rates, min maxes, percentages, and those criteria can go all the way down to line item detail. So if you're shipping maybe fragile items where you need to use additional packaging material, you can even do a rule that says, hey, anytime item lamp is on an order, you know, automatically add an additional $5 to help cover the additional handling or packaging material that you have to use. So I'm just going to click OK on that. All right. So when we are ready to actually ship and process again from this main screen, I can also click the ship and process button. I can go up under the shipment. And as you can see here, I do have some options, some shortcut keys as well. I can save a shipment. So maybe I'm staging one. It's not quite ready to go yet. I can actually start the process, save it, come back and finish it later. I do have the option to actually ship and process. As you can see, ship and create return, or even preview an email. And I'll show you what that email will be in a second here. So in this case, I'll just ship and process. So with Starship, as soon as I ship and process, I am going to receive all my required shipping documents. So of course, shipping labels. If this was an LTL shipment, Starship can generate bill of lading forms. We support both straight and VIC, pallet labels, carton labels. Really, let me go over here. So here's this main shipment label. Now for the webinar, I'm also just previewing these. Again, these can most certainly just automatically print out. I'm also using, this is what we call our smart label. And as you can see, the smart label will print a shipping label and packing list together. This would need to go to a laser printer because it is going on paper, but most certainly we can send our shipping label to a thermal printer. Starship's packing list, that can also go to a thermal printer as well. Some clients do that. Some feel it's too small and it's only a 4x6 label, but you do have the option of sending it to a thermal or, of course, a laser printer. Now, let me minimize, close that one. Box number 2. With our packing list or any of our documentation, as you can see, they can be customized. With each custom document, you can actually create printing rules, also create unlimited documents. So I know nowadays I have a lot of customers, hey, we do drop ships. When it's for a certain customer, maybe the packing list needs to show a different ship to, maybe it needs to have a different vendor's logo on it. So that's a great way you can take advantage of the custom templates with those printing rules. So we can create one and then just have a rule that says, hey, anytime this is for customer ABC, use this certain template. Okay. And then with Starship, because this is a commercial international, we can generate commercial invoices. Schedule B, required international information, all that is stored inside Starship. So with Starship in those data mapping fields, the nice thing is, hey, we can pull a lot of that information from inside of Acumatica, such as item weights, descriptions, SKUs, so on and so forth. But if we need, say, harmonized codes, Schedule B codes, country of manufacturer, Starship has its own database where it's going to start automatically storing your inventory items. And with that, we do have lookup and storage for Schedule B codes, country of manufacturer, so on and so forth. LTL shipments, NMFC codes, freight codes, or freight classes. All that could actually be stored inside of Starship. So the nice thing is Starship could look at Acumatica. Oh, I don't see that information. Oh, I see it in my own database, and it could use a combination of the two databases. Also, if you have attributes set up inside Acumatica, most certainly we can grab information from those fields as well. Again, it's simple data mapping. Nice thing with that, anytime I can just change it and point it to different fields to pull in information. Okay. And then here's a NAFTA or certificate of origin form. Again, order header, line item detail, automatically going to populate. And then down below, I just have this one, customize, where all these standard fields are automatically filled out. Okay. So once I ship and process, kind of drag that out, showing you all the different options and showing you all the labels. But I'd be just immediately get my labels, they'd print out, and then I'd be right back on this screen, where again, I can just move on, select my next shipment, and then go through that process again. So what I'll do is jump back into Acumatica here, make sure we're still logged in. All right, so let's see, 2228 is the order we just shipped. As you can see, we mark it confirmed, and I'll just drill down into that shipment record so we can show you the write back. So again, shipment now is confirmed. Shipping settings, going to write back freight cost as well as freight price. So freight cost is your live negotiated rate that you have with the carrier. So that's what you're going to be charged. And then freight price is what you're charging the customer. And as you can see, that includes that $3 handling fee. So plus or minus any freight rules that you have set up. Packaging table. Now here, we will reverse translate the package IDs, as long as, caveat to that is they would need to be set up inside Acumatica as well. But as you can see, reverse translate the box IDs. Tracking information, going to write back on the tracking lines. Custom reference 1 and 2, that's up to you what you want to write back. I'm putting here the carrier service as well as the ship date. And then we are also going to write back to the notes tab. And this actually same notes will write back on into Magento as well. And it's up to you what you want to write back here. As you can see, I'm doing ship date, time, package weight. Packer was, I was working with a client, they actually put the initials of whoever packed the item, and that was a selection inside of Starship, so kind of some more advanced features you can get into. And then tracking numbers, I'm even doing dimensions, line item detail, so Schedule B as well as the item code. So again, completely customizable, up to you what you want to write back there. And again, this same note can also write back up to Magento. And unfortunately, like I said, I can't really show you that due to not being able to get into the Magento site. But what I can do is quickly show you a couple of snapshots of the write back. So on the Magento write back, as you can see, we are going to mark that order complete. Going to write back the carrier information, of course, the freight amount. And then, as I mentioned, those comments, going to put those back inside. And those same notes that I showed you inside Acumatica will also go up to Magento. And then we will also create the shipment record. And here's just an example. If you did a parcel shipment, we'll generate the 2 different shipment records as well. And then again, a little more on that note right back, along with the tracking information for each of the packages. Those tracking numbers are going to get written back as well. Okay. And then really quick, let's quickly jump back into Starship. I want to show you our dashboard program. Again, current users that's familiar with Starship, we've revamped this dashboard program. So right now I just have some kind of overview, but this is customizable, what you want to see. So again, I just kind of have it on the overview. Over here is where I can add different charts, add different tables. If I click on here, this is where I can move. Maybe I just want to see my performance indicators. Of course, on any of these, I can drill down even further. Take a look at that. But one nice new feature with this new dashboard we've added is the thermal kind of heat map. So you can actually see where all your shipments are going, kind of hot spots. And of course, this being a demo, I'm really shipping things to New Jersey, but full map, and you would be able to see all the different areas that your shipments are going to. So a good little tool you can use to kind of see where your hot spots are. And then also included with Starship is our eNotify program. And the nice thing with the eNotify program is you can create your own custom email templates, design them instead of, if you were using, say, UPS Quantum View, instead of it all being labeled UPS, as you can see, put your company logo on there and build your brand awareness. Very easy to create these. You can link an Acumatica field, so PO number, sales order number, let the customer know how it's being shipped, of course, where it's going to, Again, if we're doing that item to box detail, they'd be able to see what was in each box, and the tracking numbers are hyperlinked. So using these can help reduce those inbound calls of customers just calling up looking for their shipments. Estimated delivery date, that's coming from the carrier, so that's accurate. And with emails, email templates, same thing like printing documents, you can create unlimited templates. And also, instead of printing rules, you can get into assigning emailing rules. So here, maybe you want to do a promo code like I have down below. Of course, the promo code you can hyperlink right back to your website, but maybe you only want that to go to certain customers. So again, you can simply create an email template and then do a rule that says, hey, only give this to my platinum customers, for example. Right? So really, it's kind of what I wanted to show everyone. Again, please feel free to reach out to me. I do apologize for not being able to show the true right back into Magento, but more than happy to schedule a call if everyone wants to see the complete workflow. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Patty so she can talk about how APS is going to help save on your credit card processing fees and how easy it is to capture those credit card funds.
Thank you so much, Matt. Very informational. I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about how exactly we can also integrate to your Magento store through the power of Acumatica, of course. So let's just start with a quick overview of, and let me get this PowerPoint going here. I wanted to show you who we are. This is APS. We know B2B payments. We know Magento. You have access to the experts, both on the credit card industry side of things, as well as the ERP side of things. The hot-looking chick in the white is me, by the way. So let's talk a little bit about the Acumatica Commerce Edition. It's basically designed for e-commerce companies that require a fully integrated ERP and e-commerce solution, obviously. The Commerce Edition, for those of you that are not familiar, comes pre-configured to integrate with your Magento store using, of course, a connector, offering bidirectional synchronization to allow your staff to manage the connector from the Magento console or the Acumatica interface. The seamless integration streamlines processing by providing order to shipment to financial reporting. A lot of what Matt was showing today, of course, you were able to see. And this is seamless real-time integration. And let me just go back to a slide here. Here it is. Now, how do payments affect the integration itself? B2B payment processing definitely has challenges. Many companies, as you probably are aware, are not familiar with the statement fees that they're receiving and why. The statement fees are very confusing. Therefore, even if they're receiving the B2B payments, they're not receiving the lower discounts companies are entitled to receive via a product called Level 3 processing, which I will explain in just a few seconds. Another one of the biggest complaints we hear through the Magento channel is the fact that the funds are being received 48, sometimes a week after the transactions are processed. There is literally no centralized reporting if you are not fully integrated within Acumatica and have your connector and, of course, integrated to a payment gateway. The ability to process internationally is not an option. Most processors do not offer this, and this is something that we hear from our merchants coming from the Magento channel at all times. And then, of course, using Magento integrated with Acumatica, integrated with APS payments, and also with Starship now, you eliminate the need for double entry. And you know that anytime we as humans are involved, we are prone to error. So why not eliminate that and just get things done the first time the right way? So I'd like to talk to you, before I actually show what it looks like and how it works, I wanted to talk to you about how exactly we are able to provide you with a savings when processing B2B transactions. It all has to start with the fee structure that you prefer. Most companies come to us and tell us, we are happy with a flat rate structure. We really don't want to change that. We're only looking for the integration. And APS Payments is happy to provide you with a flat rate structure, but we want to give you the option. And before you decide, we would like to explain exactly how these rate structures work and then choose the one that's best for your company. Let's start with flat rates. Very convenient, very straightforward, no changes. Reconciliation becomes a breeze because there are no changes on a monthly basis, right? But the setback is you will not be able to take advantage of the promotions or programs that are put in place by the card brand or any other party because you have agreed to a flat rate with your processor, so you are bound to that flat rate per your contract. And I'm going to show you the level of savings you can obtain with the programs put in place by the card brands that are at absolutely no additional charge to you and will not change the way that you process. Then we have tiered pricing. This is not too common, but we see it every so often where the processor will offer to create 3 different buckets, a fully qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified bucket, where each transaction will fall into, and that will depend on the rate that they'll receive, right? When we check the statements from merchants that are receiving the tiered pricing, 99% of the time we find that the majority of the transactions are not qualified. When we ask why they're not qualified or what the criteria is behind each individual bucket, the merchant really never knows what it is. And the processor is very reluctant to explain it. So needless to say, this is one of the processor's favorite tiered or favorite fee structure. Why? Because they can set the rules as far as where exactly each transaction qualifies for. And then we have Interchange Plus. Interchange Plus is the most transparent type of fee structure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where the processor will offer you to pass the hard costs from the card brands directly to you. In addition, they'll negotiate a markup cost or a markup fee and place it in your contract. There is really no way that you won't be able to receive any of the card brand promotions, programs, the direct cost from the card brand. Why? Because the transparency is there. We can always show you at the card brand's website exactly what the rate is for the cards that you're accepting, so you will know whether or not you're receiving the rate that your processor promised you. Now, we typically recommend Interchange Plus because of level 3 processing. Believe it or not, 80%, sometimes higher than that, of companies are not aware of level 3 processing. Level 3 processing is a program that was put in place by Visa and MasterCard that guarantees to lower your rate by up to 43%. You heard that correctly, and if you're multitasking, this is the part where you really want to pay attention because you're leaving money on the table and you have to do absolutely nothing different as far as processing other than process with a payment gateway, a merchant processor that will provide you with the integration to your ERP, to Acumatica, and take the fields from Acumatica, deliver them to Visa MasterCard on your behalf without you having to take any extra steps, any extra clicks. The average savings is $18,000 per year. And let me just tell you, if you're not sitting down, you have to sit down for this because I know I did. The most recent audit that we provided a company, we were able to save this company, and it was an Acumatica customer, over $400,000 a year. And you heard that correctly. I'm not exaggerating. It is documented. We're actually working on a case study right now. $400,000 a year. Now, needless to say, the volume has to be there to justify the savings, right? But just so you get an idea on exactly what you're missing out on. And as I mentioned before, you really have to do nothing different. The items that you see on the screen right now are the data fields that Visa and MasterCard require in order to qualify a transaction for level 3 savings. Now, if you're processing through your Magento store and it's integrated into Acumatica, we will take these fields, deliver them on your behalf, and get you the level of savings you are entitled to. You are entitled and you're not getting them. You have to ask yourself, why not? Now, here's a typical analysis. In this case, a good sample, one of our merchants was processing using the tiered structure, the tiered fee structure, and noticed that we were able to save them over almost $17,000 a year, I should say. All we did was move them over to Interchange Plus, and process using level 3 processing. That is all. They did not have to change their workflow process. They were able to process within Acumatica without any changes. And in addition to the Magento store being integrated to Acumatica, we were also able to offer them click to pay, which I will show you in just a few seconds. Now, getting back to the confusing statements, here's a sample statement. There's really no visibility, right? You're not able to see the different card brands, the bank fees, everything is just kind of summarized. What we try to do is provide you with as much detail as possible. Once again, with Interchange Plus, we can do that, and we can show you exactly where to verify that we are providing you the hard costs from the card brands. Now, you'll see an APS statement will include a summary, just like all other statements, but we will also send you the detail outlining the exact card brand with the interchange rate as well as the transaction fee. So there really is no confusion as far as what you are paying on a monthly basis. Now, many companies have told us that they're happy with Authorize.net, for example, or with another provider that's non-integrated. Here is what I have to tell you about that. Other payment solutions charge $49 and above simply for setting up. There are monthly gateway fees exceeding $25, the daily batch fees, the transaction fees, and on, right? Not to mention the miscellaneous and hidden fees. With APS payments, there are no setup fees. You can see our monthly gateway fee is only $10, no daily batching fees. Transaction fees can be 0.10 cents or lower, and I've seen it go as low as 0.03 based on Interchange Plus with level 3. And then, most importantly, with other providers that are non-integrated, you will not be able to take advantage of the benefits of level 3 processing, and much less with click to pay. So in addition to providing you the level 3 and automating the process with the integration to Acumatica, there are many other benefits that you would obtain with APS. We also provide assistance with PCI compliance. We manage the customer payment profiles from within Magento for you. So you can see that the integration is very powerful with Acumatica, with your Magento store, and at the end of the day, you are being able to take advantage of the lower rates that are available, and again, that you are entitled to. Now, with the integration to Acumatica, we also offer the integrated EMV chip reader terminals available for card-present transactions. You can process credit card transactions as well as ACH. And then, of course, I mentioned the 42% savings. Now, let's jump into the click-to-pay slightly, as I promised I would mention to you. Click-to-pay allows you to send an invoice or a sales order directly from Acumatica with a link that your customer can click on and submit payment. The payment goes right into your banking module, and you could use the automation schedule with Acumatica in order to receive the payment. So what I'm going to do now is jump right into Acumatica and show you briefly what a transaction would look like. Now, in Acumatica, APS payments integrates fully, right? Through your Magento store, the order can come in, you can pre-authorize, it'll jump right into Acumatica. If you decide to process within Acumatica, as I mentioned, you could process the transaction by keying in the credit card information right into the sales order, the invoice, payments and applications. In your customer payment methods, you can add as many credit cards per customer as you'd like, and you can see we will tokenize them, show you only the last 4 digits. And as I mentioned, you can offer the option to your customers to pay via credit card as well as ACH. Now, if you decide to turn on the click to pay, you're going to notice 2 new menu items in your banking tab, which is click to pay setup and process click to pay payments. Now, I'm going to jump into click to pay setup really quick because I want to show you how simple it would be to turn on the click to pay. You can see it's one screen, and the codes that you see here are user-defined fields that were required by Visa and MasterCard in order to get you the level 3 rates that we've been talking about. Also, this is where you would set up the option to turn on the ACH as well as credit card for your customers. And you can turn on a universal switch that will allow all of your customers to use click to pay. You can change that at the customer level and the options are opt-in or opt-out by customer. Now, let's just say, for example, that you had already created an invoice and you wanted to send it to your customers so that they can submit payment. Now, once again, the Magento store is an option, Acumatica directly is an option, and now you also have Click to Pay as one more additional option to give your customers to make their payments, right? So let's just say this is the invoice we created for a customer. Standard Acumatica functionality. In the Actions tab, you're going to see Click to Pay link and see Click to Pay invoice. So when you click on the link, you're going to see what your customer is receiving. And let me just show you on the customer side, they will receive an email. They will click on the invoice that's attached. And now they can click on the Pay Now or APS Click to Pay button. It's a standard form. You can customize it for brand recognition. I just wanted to show you what it looked like. So once they do click on that Pay Now button or Click to Pay button, they will see this screen. And you can see on this screen, it's telling them, would you like to pay the invoice? And you can see that we show details down to the line level detail, right? Your customer will then say, okay, I'm ready to make a payment. Now, when setting up Click to Pay, you can give them different permissions. In this case, they have permission to pay the full balance or just the custom amount. And they can also see any open invoices. Now, notice that in this case, 1,400 is the total, but if I start checking off additional invoices, we will auto-increment the total. This customer in particular wants to pay for only this one invoice. Now, because we set up this customer to accept credit card and ACH, they will see the options. They will also have the option to save the payment for future use or use a previously saved payment method. Now, all of this is PCI compliant. So we will take the card information and tokenize it so that you don't have to worry about the PCI compliance, and neither do they. Now, notice how I have to fill out 3 fields. Now, typically when I start, it would be 4 fields. In this case, because I've used Click to Pay in the past, the postal code is saved, so really I only have to key in 3 fields. It can't be any easier than that, right? Your customers are able to pay keying in 3 fields. At the same token, while they're submitting their card, we are taking the information and delivering it to Visa and MasterCard on your behalf so that we can guarantee the lower rates. And once again, I'd like to underline the fact that you can save up to 43% on your current rates and fees by simply processing using level 3 processing. Now, your customer has completed their payment. They will get a success notification. You could also set up the system to send them an automatic receipt that looks something like this. So they'll be able to see, okay, I paid, the amount they paid. Now back in Acumatica, how exactly are you going to know and receive the funds when your customers are making your payments using Click to Pay? So this is where Process Click to Pay payments comes in your Bankings tab. You can see that the payment that I just processed will appear, but you can also, if you've received multiple payments, you'll see a list. You can process the payments manually by clicking on either one of these, or this is the part that I like. You can use Acumatica's automation schedule and just forget about this. Set it up to capture the payments every night. As long as you batch out by 9 p.m. Eastern, you will have the funds available in your bank account the next morning by 8 a.m. So you could set it up to maybe batch out by 8 p.m. and you will be good to go. No need to remember to have to manually go in and accept any of the payments. Now, when this automation schedule kicks in, we will update all of the relevant modules, capture the funds, and as I mentioned, they will be available in your bank account the next morning. Now, let's just say you had to process a transaction manually. Very simple. You check off the transaction, click on Process Payments, and the transaction is being processed right then and there. Once the transaction is processed, we can go back to Receivables, and in the Receivables tab, you'll be able to see under your Payments and Applications, the transaction is complete, and you will also be able to see that where exactly the transaction was paid. So you can see it's at the very top, and the payment method is APS Click to Pay. So that's Click to Pay in a nutshell. I also wanted to mention the fact that we integrate to several other, we have several other integrations, Shopify, Commerce, Kenzie, and we're working on BigCommerce as well. So if anybody's using BigCommerce, it's soon to be available. Also, we have mobile solutions, and you can see them listed here. We literally integrate to thousands of shopping carts, hundreds of other third-party products. If you're interested in any in particular, let us know, and we'll be happy to work on the integration. So how do you know if you would be a good candidate for APS? Answer the questions. Are you taking B2B payments or hybrid B2C, B2B? If the answer is yes, then that's time to talk with us. Any common B2B industries, manufacturers, distributors, office suppliers, etc. And then anyone in the organization that touches the website and has to enter information over and over again that has to do with payments, you are definitely someone that we would love to speak with. We provide free audits of your current rates and fees, no strings attached, I promise. We will show you if there is any room for savings. That will just arm you to be able to go to any processor and demand the rates that you're entitled to. So if you're interested, very simple, send us a couple of your most current merchant statements. We will analyze them, contact you to schedule a presentation where we will walk you through exactly where the fees are coming from, how much the bank is making, how much the processor is making, how much the card brands are making, and then we will show you exactly where there's room for savings. Line by line, you will know how to go back to any processor and get those rates lowered. Now, once that happens, we will also send you a merchant application for your perusal in case you are interested. Once you become our merchant, we will be able to provide you with installation, implementation, training at no additional cost. Click to pay is included. The Magento connector can also be included at no charge. Last but not least, I encourage everybody to take the challenge. If we're not able to beat or match any competitor out there, we will pay you $500 for simply allowing us to analyze your statements. Last but not least, I wanted to just tell everybody about the AcuConnect community. We are a group of ISVs that are willing to provide you with educational sessions. We are subject matter experts that are willing to share our expertise with you at no additional charge. So please feel free to join us at AcuConnect.com. And with that, I'd like to hand it back over to you, Adrienne.
So you should see the contact information here. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks again, everyone.